Right, hopefully we're live on YouTube. So yes, we are, I think. So probably been doing this stuff for months, so don't worry, I'm still managing to muck it up occasionally. So anyway, we're live on YouTube. Welcome. 1996 Party Wall. This is the Party Wall channel. We talk about matters of Party Wall. My name's Dil. I'm the Chief Surveyor at 1996. Let's get going today's session. So what are we talking about today? This is a question and answer session. So if you send your questions in the comments or email me regarding Party Walls, I'll answer your questions or try my best to do so anyway. Right, today we're going to talk about section 1.15 and 1 notices. There's a difference between the two, so let's go through it. Now, this is a chart you'll see in there's a template, there's a PDF you can get yourselves. It's in the description. Grab it, it's free. I'll explain more about it in a minute. It's there to help you guide through the process, the Party Wall process, and how to deal with Party Wall notices, templates, and so on. So look, we're going to talk about section 1 notices. They're in use at rear extensions, outhouses, very occasionally porches. So this is a table, and we're going to talk about these elements, section 1. So that's today's topic, today's question. What are the types of section 1 notice? So there's actually 3 types. There's 1.5, so subsection 5, which is about where the foundations are wholly on the building owner's land. I'll show you that in a minute. So basically, where you're building right up to. Now here's where I'm going to be a little bit distinct. So there's a boundary, and a line of junction is the boundary on the ground level. It's like where the two lands meet. And this is where section 1.5 is where your foundations are totally on your own land. Section 1.2 is where you build a wall, usually in the middle of both parties, the middle of the boundary. So in effect, your wall goes over onto both sides. And section 1.6 is where you're building the wall to the edge, but the footings go over. And here's something key to understand about laws. They get drafted, they have words in them that then come to a particular meaning, and the words get made redundant. And as necessary is one of those phrases that has become, that's now redundant. What do I mean by that? Well, there's a problem. If you place footings on adjoining owner's land, that's trespass, unless you get it agreed in writing. And this is what section 1.6 says. Something like upon agreement in writing. So solution is we do eccentric footings. So basically you take your footings right to the edge of the foundation. Sorry, it's actually the other way around. You place your footings, the wall is built right on the edge of the foundation. So none of that stuff crosses over. I'm going to show you diagrams shortly. Okay, so this is standard construction, right? So section 1.2, party wall on the line of junction. So the boundary runs in the middle, somewhere in the middle. It could be any part of the wall actually. Standard construction, and that's the assumed boundary, this red line there. So this you would only do if your neighbor agreed. You can't do it unless they agree. There's advantages for both sides. Section 11 implications. There's a whole bunch of other things that follow through, but this should not be your starting position. Unless you're very friendly with the neighbors, this is not your starting position. Yep. In fact, doing this is likely to get your neighbors upset unless you've already had a discussion and a conversation. Let me move this out of the way. Okay, now this used to be, this is actually redundant now almost, right? So this is a section 1.6 where you place the footing on adjoining owner's land. So look, your wall is built right to the boundary, and builders love doing this. They build a little bit over. They believe it makes the building stronger. Building control guys are 50-50. You ask the engineers, they'll say, no, there's another solution. So I'm going to come on to that in a minute. Look, the problem is your footings are going to cross over. This is in the adjoining owner's land. It's trespass, it's illegal, you're going to get yourself into trouble. How do we avoid that? We do eccentric foundations, and that's where your section 1.5 comes in. Okay, so here's the assumed boundary again. So look, here's the 1.5 checklist. Okay, foundation. Make sure there's no gap between the foundation and the boundary, or you're not going beyond the boundary. So it's got to go right to the boundary. Yeah, I've got to emphasize that. The wall is, there's no gap between the boundary or beyond the boundary, because that's trespass. Got to go right to the edge. We're taking stuff to the edge here, living on the edge. I think there might be a song about that. Right, roof. No coping stones, fiberglass, or gutter to be overhanging. Don't do it. You're going to get yourself into trouble. You need to avoid this question of trespass. Look, once you understand it, it's relatively simple. So make sure you tick all of these 3 points when you're building it. Now, when you're designing it, you also need to serve a section 1.5 notice with the following: the site and the depth of any excavation, the building structure, its site. Make sure you have all those 3. The site map is relatively easy. Everybody has it when they get drawings done. Nobody bothers passing it to us. So please get that to us. Come on, stop being lazy, right? So that's the one to really look at. Here we go. Right. So this is the one I would start with. And then when the neighbors have a chit chat and they say, well, look, we were thinking of building an extension. Say, okay, well, can we share the wall? There's advantages of both sides, blah, blah, blah. And away you go. It's a much better way of doing it. Okay. So there's your boundary. Please note, here you go. Look, what have I done there? Okay, skip too far ahead. Right. Let's get this pointer thing out. This magic wand here. Keep forgetting to do it every week. Right. Foundations. These are eccentric foundations. They go right to the edge of the boundary and the wall starts on their edge, because you put the foundations in first, not the other way around. Everybody thinks you do the foundations to the edge of the wall. No, you put the foundations in first, obviously, right? With eccentric foundations, they're a little bit wider and a little bit deeper to stop them turning because of the weight balance. Not an engineer, but the engineers explain it to you. Okay, so this is the boundary, and line of junction is probably there, somewhere like that. So you're going to go right to your neighbor's boundary, not beyond, not underneath, not into your space. Okay, right to the edge of the boundary. When you build a wall, once the foundations are dried, cured, I think is a technical term, and the bricklayers come in, they're going to build the wall right to the edge, not into the neighbors, not into your side. And when the wall gets to the top and you go back to do a roof, this is the fiberglass bit, and make sure none of it goes over. If you're going, with this, you don't need to put a gutter. If you were to put a gutter, you would actually extend this wall up. Those are called parapet walls or box walls or whatever you want to, however you want to configure it. Make sure the gutter does not overhang. So those are the 3 things you've got to watch. It's quite simple. Don't muck this up, folks. Don't get yourself into trouble. Okay, these are the plan section drawings. This is what they look like. So there's your existing house. There you go. You're building the wall right to the edge of the boundary. There's your extension. There's the rest of it. For this purpose, we're not interested. So make sure you show the assumed boundary. This is actually quite an interesting project. I won't talk about it now. Still issues going on with it. And there you go. Just there's your section again. Foundation, wall, roof. Oh, there you go. I've got both of them in together. And that's the plan view. That's the section. Very, very simple to do. Come on, let's get it right. And this is my favorite bugbear. Everybody mucks this bit up. Please stop doing this. This is a site map, site plan. It's an example. Just send it in. Give it to me with all the drawings. That's it. That's all you need. There's where there's number 2, number 62. There's the extension. There's all the other houses. You will have this in your file. You need to submit it for your planning and PD. Send it to me. Your architect will have this, right? Now, that's really it. That's really simple as section 115. I'm going to talk about it again in Outhouses. So look, there's a government booklet. Grab this. It is the full email for it. Sorry, full address. Lovely little booklet written in 2001. Excellent for explaining the law. Not so good for using to serve notices, and it's got loads of the process missing. So you need to grab this and grab our one from the description. The links are in there. Look, we know the government's busy. They've got all sorts of stuff going on. They've got to take care of all of that. So we thought we'd give them a hand. We produced this one. And the best part is we've got a checklist. So you basically check it all through. I've done this, I've done this, I've done this. It's a process. Talks about 10.4. And we've also put in this simplified notices. That's it. Don't need to do the complicated stuff. I always have a little chuckle when I see the government booklet notices being used, because it's just too difficult to get right. So we've made them really simple. They're literally, you can actually print, cut them out, and just cross the extra stuff off and send it to your neighbor. And there's the checklist as you check it along. Yeah. So all the process there. I'm going to go through those in videos to do. So there you go. Any questions, send them in to me. Thank you for your time. Oh, this is YouTube. So look, of course, grab your little booklet there. It's absolutely free. And if you've enjoyed this little talk, this little session, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it to people who you think you'll find useful. I'll be back shortly. I'll give you another session and